Welcome back to Slothbox. I'm Lyndon Dixon. As usual, this video is brought to you by the Excelsior Sports Club. Today, I'm joined again by one of my favourites, Dmitry Salita. Dmitry, how are you?
I'm great. Always good to be on.
Yeah, man. The last time we spoke, it was ahead of Claressa Shields' homecoming. What a night! What a show! Talk to me a little bit about that.
Incredible night of boxing. What an electric atmosphere. Big time boxing back in the city of Detroit, a Little Caesars Arena. Over 11,000 fans, all screaming wild. Just an incredible atmosphere, incredible fight card from beginning to end. Cash Doll walked Claressa into the ring. That was very electric. And it couldn't have been better. Uh, she has shown that she's a bona fide superstar, that she's able to sell out big arenas. And great for Claressa, great for big time boxing in Detroit. You know, Detroit is synonymous with so many great champions like Joe Louis, Kronk Boxing Gym, Tommy Hearns, Hilmer Canty, etc. And for Claressa to open that door for big time boxing again is really incredible. And we see that, you know, we've been working on bringing big time boxing back to Detroit, to the city of Michigan, for many years. And we did a show June 3rd. July 15th, Matchroom is doing a show at the Masonic Temple. We have some part of it as we have Jermaine Franklin. But, you know, I always say boxing has to be inclusive. And I am very happy that there are other promoters, other big promoters coming to the city and giving boxing fans an opportunity to enjoy great fights. It's really incredible. And for the sport to grow and for the biggest fights to get made, we have to be inclusive and we have to work together and make the sport grow.
Mm. Well, talking about the biggest fights, just at the weekend just gone by, Marshall beat Crews-Dezurn, and Shields after the fight made her presence known. But firstly, what did you think to that fight itself?
I thought it was quite incredible that Franchon sang the national anthem before she fought. That's production.
That was
And she
great.
did a great job. She
Yeah.
really did a great job. I was like, oh my God, how's she gonna fight after that?
Mm.
Because I mean, it takes stamina and focus and mental strength to be able to do as good of a job as she did. But
Mm.
she fought very well. I thought that overall it wasn't an overly sharp fight. Both fighters didn't look as sharp as I thought they would,
Mm.
and I thought that moving up in weight would help Marshall, but it didn't. From what I've seen, the sharpest that Marshall has ever been was when she fought Claressa, and obviously, as you could see, there's legitimate bad blood between them two.
Yeah.
And Savannah Marshall really never beat Claressa. Even the amateur win, I don't really think that she beat her in the amateurs. It was very, I mean, it wasn't even really close, but she just got the nod.
Mm.
So, and Savannah is kind of lucky that gave the opportunity to grow off and kind of use it as a marketing tool, which she has. So, I mean, I think the rematch makes a lot of sense. Claressa did make it all the way to the UK for the first fight, so you know, now Claressa has shown that she's a big ticket seller in the US as well, and I know that that fight will attract loads of fans from around the country and even from the UK. And you know, I did an interview with Sky yesterday, and it kind of came off as funny, but it really wasn't meant to be. There's direct flights there's like a 6.5 hour flight direct from London to Detroit. So
Mm.
when big fights happen in the US with UK fighters, there's sometimes thousands of people that make the trip to New York City or to Vegas. But I believe this is a shorter trip, and and Detroit is not Claressa's hometown. She's from Flint, which is about 2 hours away, but it's close by, and you know, and I believe it's a great place for the fight to take place.
Mm. Well, talk to me a little bit about that. Is that the fight to make next? And have I know it's early, but have negotiations started for that?
No real negotiations have started. Just as you can see, just some back and forth with the camps. You know, just
Mm.
uh, kind of just Claressa and Savannah going at each other, which shows the fight is alive and there's interest, and there's certainly a significant amount of interest from the media as well.
Mm.
And I do believe that it's a fight that can make some sense.
Mm.
Obviously, all the things have to line up and it has to come together, but I do think that it could be significant.
Mm.
2 million people watched the first fight, which in the UK, which is quite incredible. Think about it. Think about it. A women's boxing event, and women's boxing wasn't even really, a developed business just 6, 7 years ago. And now this incredible champion, Claressa Shields, come to the UK and has generated so much interest that it became the biggest watched sporting event in history of women's sports on Sky. That's really incredible.
Mm.
Uh, yeah.
Do you, well, her trainer, Peter Fury, I saw a video after the fight of him saying that if that rematch was to take place, he thinks it'd be better off in the UK. But coming from Claressa's point of view, she's the A side now. So would the venue of the fight be a sticking point in fight talks?
I think so. I mean, Claressa is ultimately the boss,
Mm,
and I do think that financially, economics make a big difference, and will tilt the fight one way or another. The U.S. broadcaster is a big part of this puzzle, and uh, Sky is obviously committed to the fight, as they have shown, and did a great job promoting it. And I think we'll do a great job promoting it if it happens in the United States as well. But I believe that it's a big event, it's a big fight, um, and you know, it just happened. We just have to roll up our sleeves, sit
mm,
down, and kind of see what makes sense, and see if it could happen. If it could happen and when it could happen,
yeah.
so that both fighters feel ready and motivated. And there's few fights really in the world of boxing where two big countries like the UK and the US are involved. And really feels that that fans from both places are really motivated for this to happen.
Mm,
And I know Savannah made fun of Claressa not being able to sell tickets, but it's not like he said, she said. Look at the video and you'll see what Little Caesars Arena was like
mm,
on June 3rd. And Savannah obviously also has a very healthy amount of support. So it's really incredible. And I believe that a media tour in the United States and a media tour in the UK would really help promote this fight and promote women's sports and women's boxing and women's rights, really. Because, sports is a vehicle that great people use to progress social change. And people like Jackie Robinson, Joe Louis, Muhammad Ali have used sports to further change, and Claressa is using it as well. And when there are great competitive rivalries, as there are with Savannah and Claressa, I believe that drives the point further and is able to appeal to a wider public. So a rematch for this fight has a lot of the ingredients to make this another super event that'll
mm.
obviously be a great, electric, and competitive inside the ring, but also it'll have a lot of social significance, which I think is even more important than the fight itself.
Mm. Talking about that social significance a little bit, I mean, for me, from the outside looking in, I feel Claressa is a very legacy-driven fighter and person. I mean,
For sure.
you mentioned yourself that, and I agree with you completely, that she is the Muhammad Ali of women's boxing. And for me, when you're trying to build that legacy, you look for almost the most logical fights, and I feel that the Marshall fight is the most logical fight for Claressa. But is that another step to cementing that legacy in the sport, not just the women's side, but the sport in
Yeah.
general?
Excuse me. Yeah,
Bless you.
I don't think. Thank you. I don't think the rematch has anything to do with Claressa cementing her legacy.
Hmm.
I believe that whatever Claressa does from this point on, her legacy is already cemented. She did so many firsts. I follow the sport of boxing since I'm a little kid, you know, intently and uh, like a real fan. I've never seen a fighter in the peak of their career, an American fighter, go to the home country of their rival and fight them in their other country. I've never seen it. Obviously, there's been no women, so men, and I've never seen any men do it. And Claressa did it not against just like Jane Doe, somebody, nobody,
Mm,
against Savannah Marshall, who's a really good fighter, who can punch, who's big, who, as Peter Fury, who's one of the best trainers in the world. She was a real champion, like a real champion. And Claressa went there in front of 20,000 fans that booed her when she walked into the ring and did what she had to do. That's really incredible. If you think
mm,
about it, Claressa is a girl from Flint, Michigan, USA. Flint, Michigan is one of the most challenged places in America. I mean, the water crisis, but the water crisis is one of so many things that this challenges that are in that city. And Claressa became a Olympic gold medalist one time, two times, and there's so many firsts. First woman to ever fight on to be the main event on cable television in the United States, and the list goes on and on and on. And so Claressa's legacy is cemented. And 20 years from now, 10 years from now, when she's retired, folks and tales and movies are going to be written about what she has accomplished and what she has done. So, and that is and that's quite incredible. So uh, everything that happens now is gravy. And but and I don't I mean it. What I mean by that is that like things should grow and should improve and we should strive towards equality. But what I'm saying is, from Claressa's point of view as a boxer, she's done pretty much whatever she had to do
Yeah.
to be considered the GOAT. What she does from here on forth is icing on top of the cake. Her last fight after Savannah Marshall, the homecoming, she opened up Little Caesars Arena for boxing. There's been Tommy Hearns, Hilmer Kenty, Michael Moore. I mean, so many great champions from the city of Detroit. And then there's been years of nothing. And there's this beautiful brand new building where the Pistons play and the Red Wings play, and UFC does fights and WWE does events, and you know some of the biggest performers come and sing, and they never had boxing. And Claressa opened it up, and it was sold out, and so many of the Detroit and Michigan boxers, prospects and contenders fought on her undercard, and she opened the door for them. So everything she does is really incredible. Besides the rematch with Savannah, I do believe that from a legacy point of view, for Claressa to fight in Africa, for Claressa to fight in the Middle East, would be something that'd be very special, and something that will be remembered again for centuries to come.
Just wrapping up on Claressa Shields. The last thing from is Savannah Marshall the fight that Claressa wants next?
I think Claressa. It depends on so many different moving parts.
Yeah.
I mean, so is it the fight that she wants next? She wants the biggest and the best fights. If it's the biggest and the best fight and things can come together, I'm sure that she'll hear it out. I mean, I haven't talked to her since she got back from talked to her briefly while she was still in the UK. She's on her way back now, but we have to see what makes sense and the weight and the financial requirements for both, and obviously the location of the fight, and if there could be some mutual respect and understanding. I'm talking about outside of Claressa and Savannah, just on the business side of it, so that the fans can benefit and the boxing world can benefit as well, and the fighters can benefit. So again, I'm for being inclusive and for working with everybody, making sure that we get the biggest and the best fights.
Well, moving on from Claressa, I've seen that just today actually that Jermaine Franklin's had his fight announced with one of your old fighters on the undercard of Alicia Baumgardner in Detroit. Talk to me a little bit about that, because like we said before the call, it's a little bit of a full circle moment for yourself.
Yeah, so Jermaine is, I believe, one of the best American heavyweights. Great fight against Dillian White, very good effort against Anthony Joshua. He could have won, he just didn't have enough experience to be able to see what was going on in the ring and just, and process it. But he's still young, and I believe he'll only get better off of that performance. Junior Wright, I signed Junior Wright in 2014. He fought Steve Bujaj in my Brooklyn Brawl series. It was New York City Fight of the Year, incredible fight. And then we got him 2 world title shots at cruiserweight. He dropped Beibot Shumanov in Las Vegas. Anyway, Junior is a good guy, tough fighter, and coming off some good fights and good wins at heavyweight. And we'll bring the fight to Junior. So it's a good fight for. We'll bring a fight to Jermaine. It's a good fight for Jermaine. I think that with a win, Jermaine will be able to put himself back into the conversation with the other top heavyweights and start climbing the heavyweight ladder once again.
Well, talking of that conversation with the top heavyweights, one of your other heavyweight fighters in Tyrell Miller, what's next for him? Because I was thinking when we agreed to do the interview again, I was thinking, what is next for him? Because he's at such an interesting stage in his career. I mean, I saw some people on Twitter suggesting he could be AJ's next fight, but then what do you think? What is going to happen next for Tyrell Miller?
Well, Jarrell really wanted that fight with AJ, and seemed to be that the boxing public and the boxing press were really intrigued with it as well. And I know that that fight would do great numbers on television
Mm,
and at the gate, because there's true uh, dislike from both
yeah,
sides and the missed opportunity and so many different energies. So, Jarrell's personality is really unique, and I don't think maybe besides Tyson Fury, there's really no personality like Jarrell. And it's been a tough time for him to be able to rehabilitate himself, to to be in line and to fight and to have significant fights again. He beat Lucas Brown in March, and he stopped him in the sixth round, which was a good win for him. And we're just working on getting a significant fight. I believe that even though the fight with Anthony Joshua didn't happen, it did put him back into people's minds, and did put him back in in conversation with other top heavyweights.
mm,
So perhaps something else as big can can open up.
yeah. Well, the last question, I just want you to summarize and finish up with what's next. Who have you got out in the next few weeks?
Well, Jermaine Franklin is fighting July 15th.
Yep.
Shoji Nagash got ordered to be the IBF
Mm,
mandatory for for Matthias. I believe Ergashev is one of the best junior welterweights in the world. Big guy, big puncher, training with Sugar Hill, getting better and better. Excited about him. Vladimir Shishkin, super middleweight, IBF #2 contender. I wonder what's going to happen now with the IBF, because he is uh, supposed to fight William Skull, who's #1 contender, and the IBF mandatory is up next to Canelo, but Canelo is fighting Charlo, who's also
yeah.
an undisputed champion. So I wonder if the IBF is going to give Canelo an exemption, and I think that they probably may. And in that case, Shishkin is going to have to wait a little bit longer for that title shot. Then we have Ali Ismailov, who is uh, also a top-rated light heavyweight. Will make a move this year. Juan Carrillo, another light heavyweight, won the WBO light heavyweight title. And there's a bunch of Michigan prospects that I'm excited about, like Joseph Hicks, U.S. Olympic team captain, quote unquote, is
Mm,
on the card. Deval Smith, people say he's next time he earns. He's from the Kronk Gym in Detroit. Joshua Pagan, he's currently in camp with Trayvon Chambers and Jake Paul, the U.S. national champion, 7-0, knocked out a 9-0 fighter in his last fight, very good fighter. So working on some exciting things, and looking for consistency here in the state of Michigan, the city of Detroit, in terms of world class professional boxing. And many times over the last year plus, I've been doing interviews with folks from the UK, and again, it's a direct flight from Heathrow to Detroit. So I feel like if we have some big fights here, the UK boxing press and fans maybe will become regulars here.
mm. Well, mate, fingers crossed that is in the pipeline. But like always, as usual, thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure. I've been Lyndon Dixon. He's been Dmitry Salita, and we will see you on the next one.
Thank you, man.